Not enough nonsense in your life? Need a little more? Well, get ready, because these two have it in spades. Loose talk.
What are you talking about? Nonsense.
Even looser opinions.
Please explain.
And you're along for the ride.
Everybody strap in!
This is The Burble with Benny and Az.
Welcome to the Burble. Hello, it is Benny here.
Az is here.
We got some brand new equipment in the studio. This is very exciting for us, Az.
Oh, mate, it's got lights.
Yeah, no, it's got little LED lights and all that kind of thing. So we're going to do, if you do enjoy this podcast and you want to get into podcasting yourself, then I can highly recommend the Rodecaster Pro. It's a desk. It is designed specifically for podcasting. We just had some old thing that had been in a cupboard for 10 years and we bought it off eBay. It did well. We got the program out. Everything is all fine. But now, this has got LEDs on it. We're loving this.
This bad could take you to the moon. Look at it. It's got touch screen. It's got lights. It's got stuff.
Yes.
And it's made in Australia.
It is made in Australia. So we're loving this. So I hope you enjoy it. And the quality of this podcast is only going to get better. That's the sound quality.
Oh, right.
Not the content.
Trying to think where we're going to get better content from.
Well, speaking of content this week, Queen Elizabeth is now reportedly giving up on driving on public roads following Prince Philip's car crash that he had 2 months ago. Remember that?
Yes.
Plus, as well as you've brought a number of things to the table, in particular, a guy who got the shits at someone who wouldn't play him a song.
Absolutely. He really did give it the gong, we can say. And he blew his chances with the court later on.
Does this actually fold into that other story you were just telling me about? Does it?
It would fold in. We'll deal with that in a little while.
A principal of a prestigious girls' school in Sydney says students should be able to use Google during their HSC exams. Now, hang on a minute. Kids have got it easy these days. April Fool's Day's come and gone as...
It has.
We're going to have a look at the best and worst of some of the April Fool's Day jokes. I used to work in radio, and I've got to say that I reckon the radio stations do April Fool's Day jokes really, really well. McDonald's did one, actually, and they want... People are crying out now that McDonald's released this April Fool's Day joke. They go, well, go on. We want this burger.
Yeah, well, they're in a pickle now.
They are in a pickle. Now, listen, if you are a nature lover and you like watching those David Attenborough things on TV, or if you like, watching nature documentaries, you're not going to like this. If you're a lover of animals, we're going to tell you what happened on Blue Planet Live. And this is the thing. If you're going to do a show that's called Live...
You've got to have the contingency plan.
You've got to have a contingency plan.
What did I say? Never work with animals or children?
That's exactly right. It's all coming up on The Burble.
This is The Burble with Benny and Az.
Now, the Queen, she's been the longest reigning monarch in the history of the throne.
Yes.
In England.
Correct.
She's been there for X amount of years. Coronation 1953, I think it was.
Something like that. Yeah, she's been floating around since the Second World War, though.
She was a diesel mechanic in the war, you know that?
She was in the Land Army.
She was in the Land Army, that's right. And, she knows her way around a vehicle.
Unlike Prince Philip, who flipped one over the other week.
Well, the other month, that's
right. Was it the other month? Yeah, it was too.
Do you know that the Queen is the only person in the UK who's allowed to drive without a licence?
I did not know that.
She's the only one in England to drive without a licence. Actually, that's really funny. I would like to know whether or not they have those annoying guys that come around about the TV licences and knocking on the door at Buckingham Palace.
I'd say so. England is a country driven by bureaucracy.
You know what? Why? I don't get it. That is so...
A TV licence?
Yes. What's the hell with a TV licence?
Well, it's just a throwback to when the TVs themselves, you bought them and you had to get a licence for them because that's a thing.
Well, here in Australia, when you bought a radio back in the 20s, I think it was, and I think the only stations that were broadcasting at that time was 2BL, which has now become ABC 702... maybe 2UE, you actually had to have a technician come to your house and set your dial to that station.
Yeah.
And you had to subscribe to it.
Yep.
That is well and truly over. We are getting off topic with the Queen. We'll come back in a second. However, though, it just amazes me now that they still charge you in the UK to watch television. Like, you have to buy a license to receive television signals from the air, pluck it down.
Yeah, everyone's got satellite dishes too. So they've got a Skybox, which has the Freeview stuff that you pay your license to get.
Yep.
And then you can pay Sky more to get your equivalent of Foxtel.
Yeah, exactly. But why do they do it? Over here, it's called free to air. Free.
Yeah.
Idiots.
Well,
Anyway.
you get it free with your TV license.
Anyway, the Queen has now decided that she is now going to no longer drive. And the Queen, by the way, is turning 93 this month. 93 years old.
Bloody hell. That is a
Congratulations.
good innings.
Now, look, she would have been really reluctant to give up the privilege there, but now she can only drive on private properties, like, for example, at Balmoral in Scotland, which she doesn't need a license.
Palace. Well, there's plenty of room out the front. You could do some sick skids.
Do you know what?
You should be like, we are amused. What
did you say? We what?
We are amused.
What is that from?
We are not amused. Queen. But she's amused because she's doing sick burnouts.
You know, there's not really...
Someone got that out there. You didn't. Someone did.
You hear the crickets?
Yeah.
No.
No.
The back of Buckingham Palace isn't really that big. I was impressed with the size of the building when I've been there.
Yeah, the
mind you, that was 19 years ago.
It hasn't changed much.
I would imagine it hasn't. But I don't see the Queen out there in a buggy or a Ferrari doing some sick donuts out the back.
Well, she could if she wanted to. It's her house.
She could if she wanted to.
It's not like she's going to lose the license.
No, well, that is exactly right. Now, listen, she's got a big car collection, Az. Now, what do you think would be in the Queen's car collection?
Well,
she's got... Now, and she is publicly funded, by the way. So you need to understand that she is publicly funded. It's not like she's Jay Leno that has all this money that can throw around. He's got barns and barns of cars. What do you reckon the Queen would have?
Well, she'd have a Range Rover, Land Rover, as you said. Mm-hmm. I reckon she might have a tank stuffed away in there somewhere.
She is a diesel mechanic.
Exactly.
93-year-old diesel mechanic.
Yeah, she's got a tank.
You reckon she'd have a Bentley?
I reckon.
That's English brand. Rolls-Royce, they're English as well?
No, they're not English.
They're not English. Jaguar.
Jaguar.
Which is now owned by Volkswagen.
Correct.
They're not English.
No. She might have Morris Minor, Mini Cooper.
Yeah. Do you reckon she's got a couple of golf carts?
Oh, what are those three-wheeled cars? You know the ones that Mr. Bean always knocked over?
Oh,
a Robin Reliant.
A Reliant.
I reckon she'd have a couple of those.
Have you ever seen the episode of Top Gear where Jeremy Clarkson decides to take it round the corner very quick and it just
skids along the road
onto its side?
Yes.
She's never had to take a driving test.
Well, she wouldn't.
And she's able to drive without a number plate as well. So they don't have to have the number plate.
So she'd be the perfect getaway driver for a bank robbery.
At the age of 18, Elizabeth, who was before she was the Queen, she then trained as a driver and mechanic, as we said, for the Women's Auxiliary Territorial Service during World War II. This is how she became part of the war and all that kind of thing. We're also just having a quick look here of another photo here where she's obviously in a Rolls or a Range Rover. I don't. What is that?
That is a Bulldog, I believe. So that will be a Range Rover.
Is she driving a Kenworth then?
She might be.
She can barely see over the wheel.
She probably pulled it down and... Oh, it's a Range Rover, I told you. She probably pulled it down and bloody serviced it afterwards.
Now, listen, after the accident, basically, she won't ever get into a car with Prince Philip driving again. That's basically off the table.
Yeah, he's pretty sketchy, really, Prince Philip.
Look, Philip, I love you. You do look like a zombie, but you shan't be taking me down to the shops for sugar.
We aren't amused.
I am not amused. Have you met my friend 007?
Now, the Crown Prince has implored the Queen to slow down and concentrate on the road ahead a number of times.
That's a bit rich coming from Prince Phil there.
Yeah, he voluntarily surrendered his driving licence in February after his crash. Now, here's a statement from Buckingham Palace. They said, after careful consideration, the Duke of Edinburgh has decided to take the decision to voluntarily surrender his driver's licence. Now, he has to have a driver's license. She doesn't.
He's only the prince. He got nothing.
Now, what if the prince wants to go out with some mates down the Slug and Lettuce, right? And he has to have the driver's license because he basically married into this family.
Yeah.
He's not he is part of the family, but he married into it.
Yeah.
He rings her up. She's in a nightie and stuff, chucks on a T-shirt. Can he come get us? She's chucked on the T-shirt, come down there. She can have as many shardies as she wants.
And drive home pissed. Run over
Drive
the
and go
commoners.
and pick him up.
Yeah.
And then she can't be done.
No, she's the queen.
She's the queen.
But she wouldn't go herself. She'd get Charlie to go down there and he'd probably just ride Camilla down.
This is The Burble with Benny and Az.
Well, just like getting into the car with Prince Philip is a bit of a gamble, I want to talk about another type of gambler.
Yeah.
Kenny Rogers. Benny?
Now, look, Kenny Rogers, a lot of country fans out there. There are more country fans than you think.
I know.
So don't offend them whatsoever.
Oh, no,
just keep your cards close to your chest. All right?
I bring us a story that's actually a little bit close to home. This one was perpetrated in the lovely little town of Orange in New South Wales.
Orange, New South Wales.
Or when
They're neighbours of ours.
They are neighbours. There was a man who basically fronted court the other day. Now, he'd smashed a woman's phone with a tomahawk.
What?
You know, small axe.
Didn't like the phone?
Well, no.
Didn't like a carrier?
Well, they're all good reasons to smash a phone, but the reason he gave was basically she refused to play a Kenny Rogers song.
What?
Yep. So there's a bloke. Now, he's got 3 names, so obviously he's a serial killer. But
No, they do that to all criminals, bro.
Yeah, I
you
know.
know
Anyway.
exactly what that is.
Anyway, old mate was drinking and listening to music on her phone in the park.
Right.
So, but at about 7 p.m, things went a bit south. So he said to her, hey, play Kenny Rogers. And when she refused, he snatched the phone out of her hand. Now, this is where it gets interesting. This is where I've brought
So
this
wouldn't play Kenny Rogers.
Yep.
You were talking about, are we talking about The Gambler? the song?
It's got to be The Gambler, hasn't it?
God, I remember when I was like just 18, we used to go to this pub and inevitably on a Thursday night, someone would put The Gambler on the jukebox.
It's just what's done.
And when you heard it, you just go, yep, they've reached that level of piss that you only read about.
Yep, and then K-San came on very shortly after that. So, he snatched the phone off her and then took a small axe from his bag and used it to smash the screen.
What? What's he doing running around with an axe?
Well, if he's not Nordic of the Viking persuasion, then it's a very good question. But he literally, pulled an axe out of his bag.
Right.
And smashed a phone because she wouldn't play The Gambler.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. So he then fronted court and basically this is where it gets even better.
Right.
So he was given some bonds and some charges and whatnot, but the main crux of it, that he was pissed, right? That was his defense. I'm pissed.
He's pissed.
I've got an axe.
Not pissed off. I'm just like,
No, he's like,
Jesus Christ, I'm pissed as
Now, I've been pissed a few times myself, but I've never felt the need to take a small wood-cutting implement with me.
True.
Maybe I'm going to the wrong type of parties.
Maybe.
I don't know. Anyway, so...
Unless you're camping, of course.
Oh, well, yeah, but that's a given. But they weren't camping. They were in the park in Orange.
They're in one of the parks, public parks.
Yeah. So he said, I was pissed, Your Honour. It's a problem, so I need help. So the judge said, look, we'll give you a requirement for rehabilitation and treatment and abstaining from alcohol.
Yep.
The problem was he was pissed in court.
Didn't he get some special instructions from the magistrate, though?
He absolutely did. So the magistrate basically said to him, it would be handy if you turned up to court and out of respect for the court, sober.
You know what? If he's got an axe or a mini hatchet,
Well, I reckon they would.
I don't think he has any respect for anything. But anyway,
I reckon they would have patted him down before he came in.
had to have. Don't they have metal detectors and all that kind of thing?
I'm sure they do.
All right, okay.
But look, anyway, the judge said, nah, you're pissed. You're an idiot. Going to stick you in the dock to sober up a bit.
Yep.
So
this is the dock in the court.
Yeah, or out the back, I think.
Right. Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's out the back.
Oh, it's just it's basically.
You couldn't leave a drunk dude in like the witness box the whole afternoon while you tried other cases. He's snoring away.
If he had an axe, he'd carved get into the the hue and pine dock.
Well, funnily enough, you speak of vandalism, Benny, because this goes on.
So when you say the dock, it's like a holding cell.
Yeah, I think it's a holding cell.
Of the court.
Yeah. Like a little sort of joint they just put you while you're waiting.
Like a phone booth without a phone.
Kinda.
Do you remember phone booths, young people? You millennial.
So they put him in a dock, right? And he got the shits with that. So he produced a lighter from his pocket.
So he had a lighter. Like I've got one in my pocket here.
Yeah, like a cigarette lighter.
So like this.
Yep. So that's what he did. He produced that from his pocket then held it to the Perspex wall of the dock, causing it to bubble and compromising the dock for later use.
Right.
Now,
So he's going to melt his way out.
melt